For me, that's been huge, understanding what is distractions and what it really means to be in the zone, and finding that flow state. I think that's a sphere within sport that a lot of people don't actually quite unlock.
So the weekend is over. I had a great time. It was one of my best mates' weddings and I was the MC on the day. So that was a lot of fun, being in charge of the speeches, and there was an amazing person that spoke as the best man. He was actually the last guest on Coffee with Craig, Austin Smith. So he was there. But today we are going to go and have a look a little bit around the pipe track here with Matt Healy. So someone I've known for some time, and he's really doing some amazing things in the world of trail running. And he just had an amazing event, not this past weekend, the weekend before, 13 Peaks. And I really want to find out what goes into an event like that from a training point of view, mentally. I mean, how long was that race, man?
14 hours.
14 hours. 14 hours by yourself in the trails. It's not for a normal person. No normal person would ever think that they can do this. The normal average person goes running for 20 minutes. I know you've done this crazy race, 13 Peaks, which was a long distance and time. What is 13 Peaks all about?
So 13 Peaks is an FKT, so fast known time. So literally anyone has to start their watch at Signal Hill any time of day. And yeah, you have to tag the 13 Peaks in that specific order, which covers most of the peninsula. And yeah,
so it starts at Signal Hill. Where do you go from Signal Hill?
Signal Hill, you got Table Mountain, so McClare's Beacon, highest point on Table Mountain. There are two more peaks along 12 Apostles, just above us here.
Yeah.
And then you head into Hart Bay. There's a few more peaks that side. Then you cruise to Muizenberg, and then you pretty much make your way back Constantia Neck, and then back to Signal Hill.
You finish back at Signal Hill.
Yeah, so you do a round loop.
And could you do it any time in this month? Because obviously it's not everyone going off at the same time. It's like a virtual race at the moment.
Well, an FKT, so you can literally do it any time you want, as long as you start your watch and end your watch.
And you got to make sure that your battery doesn't die on your watch.
Yeah. And
do you stop and have to charge your watch at any stage?
No, my watch lasts long enough. Okay. But some people, so you can do it also multi-day, so you can do it over 12 months if you want. So wherever you stop on the route, you just go back to that point and you start your watch again.
And then, I mean, is there a leaderboard? Do you know at what stage do you realize, okay, I won this event, or I came 10th, or?
So online you can go onto the website 13 Peaks, and yeah, there's a whole leaderboard, multi-day, 1 day, 2 day. So there are a few badges, and then when you finish, you get a badge from Ryan Sands.
Oh, okay.
So Ryan Sands created the route, yeah.
Okay, nice. So Matt's just finished 13 Peaks in a little over 14 hours. I know when I speak to people with Ironman, they think I'm crazy to do that much exercise. This has been a massive challenge, bigger than something like Ironman, and I want to find out what goes on from a mental capacity point of view to want to do something like that and then to be able to complete it. So we're going to walk a little bit further and we're going to find out what goes on inside here.
Cool.
So babe, I know we've been trying to organize this Coffee with Craig episode for some time now, and you've been trying to get your mindset right for that race, and now you've got some downtime. What's it like having this downtime? We can now do an interview on Coffee with Craig.
Yeah, it's nice to be able to put the legs up and just rest, and like I mentioned to you, like a lot of sacrifice goes into training for things like 13 Peaks, and it takes away time from my girlfriend and family, so it's cool just to spend some time with them.
But you still are exercising every day now, or do you take 1 or 2 days completely off?
I do my mobility work every day, but like I said, I'm Zwifting, having fun online, and just like switching off mentally as well.
So something like 13 Peaks, when you decide that you're actually going to do the race, how much time do you need to prepare?
Well, my preparation started after I finished, when I completed Addo, when I finished that race.
And how long ago was that?
That was middle of March. That's when I kind of locked in 13 Peaks and decided this is what I'll be doing next. So a good few months of prepping.
Did you have a specific time in mind that you were aiming for?
Yeah, sub 15.
Sub 50. Okay,
Yeah.
so you did it.
Yeah.
So tell me a bit about the nutrition that goes into something like this,
Yeah.
because I know with Ironman we chatted a bit about it. I was using Hammer products,
Yes.
and I didn't need to eat food. It was gels, it was
Yeah.
drinks, electrolytes, all those kind of things. Now doing trail running up here in the mountain, I presume you have to take in more. You have to eat more food.
Yeah, so it's an eating contest.
Oh, okay.
But for me, so everyone's different, you know. Some things work for some people and other things work for other people. And for me, again, I still stick to like a liquid diet. So the calorie drinks, the electrolyte drinks, the gels. I probably only had like 1 bar en route.
So do you not eat any solid foods?
The most solid is fruit.
Oh,
Yeah, I just seem to operate that way, and it might change in the future, but
that's what's working for you
yeah.
now. At the time.
But something to note was like I think heat plays a big role in your nutrition. So certain sections where I knew it would be a bit hotter midday, I upped my electrolytes. I double dosed on those sections, which I think really helped.
Okay. And then I saw on your Instagram sometimes you were like changing your clothes and using a race bart
Yeah.
and things like that. Why do you change?
So I just, between my hydration vest and my race belt, it's just lighter, easier to run, especially like along the road section. I got my mate to carry my nutrition, so I'll just then run vest freeing. And it's, again, like mentally it's quite a nice change to pack off, vest on, you know, when you want to cruise. When you're training as much as I am and endurance sport, and especially in ultra running, you become quite withdrawn from society. Just
When you're doing that, because you spend so much time by yourself, do you
Exactly.
ever feel like, because I'm sure people are dealing with this now with COVID, they're by themselves, and now the first time they go and socialize, it's a bit weird and awkward.
Yeah.
Do you find something like that happens to you because you're on in the mountain by yourself
Yeah,
all the
for
time?
sure. It's definitely something that has changed over the months and years. Like I am becoming a bit more antisocial.
Okay.
So my parents keep reminding me, like, you know, you need to see your mates, and
Yeah.
and so yeah, that's like something you need to consider when training for things like this, is like having that balance, being able to see your family, seeing your mates, and keeping grounded.
So I got COVID recently, like 2 months ago.
Okay.
So I'm not able to exercise properly now, which is
Are you
quite
still
irritating.
feeling it?
Yeah.
Seriously?
If I go running now, after 15 minutes, my heart rate peaks and I have to stop and start walking, which is
And
so
are you
irritating.
feeling it physically?
No.
though? Are you
So
watching it on the watch?
So I just monitor my heart rate on my watch,
Yeah.
and then I'll go for a half an hour run, and afterwards I'll hardly have sweated, or I won't really be tired, but I have to slow down the whole time
Yeah.
because of my heart rate.
Are you trying a chest strap at all?
I haven't. I've just been using the one on my wrist.
It's just a lot more accurate, obviously.
Yeah, on your chest.
Yeah, like I don't train to my heart rate at all.
Oh, don't you?
Yeah, I mean 13 peaks, I switched off my heart rate.
Yeah.
I just had the route
Yeah.
and my like current splits. So I
But
didn't
is that
even see
because
my
it's
time.
is that because it's a race?
It's just
so you
because I
wanna
didn't
push a
want
bit harder?
to be influenced by other aspects, like
Yeah.
getting too involved with my watch and checking,
Yeah.
oh, I got this and that. My
Yeah.
crew knew my splits and knew how much time I needed to be between
Okay.
peaks, and that's what really counted.
Because I see a lot of the professional triathletes in the races, they don't necessarily wear a watch.
Yeah.
So to me it seems like they almost want to just go as fast as they can because they're competing against another athlete, not against themselves.
Yeah, and I think when you a professional athlete knows their body really well,
Yeah.
so they will know when they're pushing too hard or they can push harder.
But now this must be difficult because you're not competing with someone.
Yeah, well,
So it's not
that's-
like the person you want to beat's just gone ahead, so you must push a bit harder then.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Like I find in FKT compared to a race, it's actually a lot more mentally training in FKT, because you know, at every stop at a aid station, I'm seeing my crew and getting more nutrition and stuff.
And you can't now stop your watch.
No.
It's not like a time-free
it's rolling.
zone.
So you know that every time you're not moving forward, time's lost. So that's mentally taxing. By the end of it, coming off Devil's Peak, like mentally, I was like over it. Like I didn't care about my time then. I was kind
So
of.
how do you keep going? What like drives you to push through that?
I think the work I've put in prior, knowing like what I've sacrificed to be in my position, and also just seeing it as like a privilege. Like I've always seen pressure as a privilege. Like if you've got pressure on you, or then you're in a good spot. If you're confident about your build up, it will be more of an excitement. Like you're excited to like kind of show what you're capable of on the day. Yeah.
Okay. So how do you start preparing for a race like this? What do you do physically, mentally to make sure you're giving it your all?
So me going into this, what's been important this whole year has been my nervous system. So the conditioning, my strength and conditioning, and like in the gym replicating certain movements that I do on the trails. And then I actually got myself a mental coach a few months out of 13 Peaks,
amazing.
Paddy Upton.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if you've heard of him. Yeah.
We've heard him he's done a couple of talks for us in the office.
Yeah.
He's been amazing, yeah.
So yeah, like for me that's been huge, understanding what is distractions and what it really means to be in the zone, and finding that flow state. I think that's a sphere within sport that a lot of people don't actually quite unlock. Before I used to think flow state was this conscious, intense focus, but it's actually unconscious, and it's incredibly calm. Like when you're in flow state, you only realize you're in flow state when you come out of it.
You realize that you're actually in it.
Yeah. So I think just understanding what it is obviously will help me, but I think I got a long way to go in terms of really grappling with it, but it's cool. It's another dynamic.
So now you've wanted to get a mental coach and a physical coach, a strength coach. You're now spending money, time, effort. What's made you want to take that next step up?
I got an opportunity. I think my genetics have served me well, and yeah, it's just about making the most of that opportunity, realizing like this is my passion, I'm talented at what I do, and it's just now about making it happen for myself. And the goal for me is to be one of the best in the world, and I'm not going to stop until I'm there. That's kind of.
So you've got some big goals of what you still want to achieve.
Yeah, that's just the beginning.
I mean, what is the difference between wearing these kind of shoes on the mountain? Will I roll my ankle if I go running in something like this?
Well, it depends on the trail, but ideally, on like technical stuff like this, I'd recommend having a rock plate in your shoe, and then maybe less sponge, just because the sponge is going to bounce you off.
Matt sponsors. Maybe once ASIC watches this, they're going to sponsor me too.
Can become a front runner.
Front runner. I remember coming and watching you do UTCT, the 100 kilometers. I was there at...
that was my first proper run.
Your first proper run.
Yeah,
so I saw you at UT tennis clubs and then at the finish line.
Yeah.
And it inspired me to want to do something like that. And I don't know how to go about running 100 kilometers because I don't really enjoy running. It's part of triathlon, so I do it because I kind of have to. But I mean, how would I start training for something like 100 kilometers in the mountain?
Well, for you, obviously you got Ironman experience, so I think it's important to draw on that confidence.
Yeah.
You've done those races, you've finished those races, so from a mental capacity is like drawing from what you've achieved there, and then just spending more time in the mountains, spending time on your legs.
How long would I have to train though? Like, could I do it in 4 months? Do I need 6 months?
Well, I don't know, what are your capabilities? For you it'd probably be easier than the average Joe, just because of your background. So I mean,
because I've got a base.
Yeah, exactly. But for me, I think it would just be about spending time in the mountain and building that confidence.
Okay, getting used to running up hills the whole time.
Yeah, just back your abilities and run.
So, I mean, if you're happy to speak about it, I mean, like, what would an average, how much time do you spend in a week running or being on the mountain?
In terms of mileage, I'd say I spend anything from 120 to 160 k's running, and then on the
bike.
But
that's also, I mean, that when you talk about something like that doing trail running, it's quite hard to judge that, because I mean, running straight up a mountain or running flat is very different.
Yeah.
Do you go according to kilometers and not time?
It depends on the session. Some sessions will be time based, and other sessions will be mileage based.
So this is now your job. So do you spend like a normal amount of time you would at a job out on the mountain and in the gym?
I'd say this is 24/7. Like for me, I'm always trying to learn more, educate myself. This is when I'm sleeping, I'm probably dreaming about running. This is 24/7 for me.
Do you ever get over it?
Over it, no. But like now, after 13 Peaks, I was really looking forward to the time off. Just being so competitive and having that 24/7, it gets tiring and taxing. So it's nice to switch off and take that mental break.
It's now getting a little bit chilly here on the mountain, so I think we need to go inside, go grab some coffee, because that's what we do on the show. We drink coffee. So let's get inside, let's get a bit warmer and get some caffeine in our bodies. Let's go. So I hope I don't walk backwards and trip on one of these stones, but we're trying something a little bit different now with Coffee with Craig. Just having a conversation, nothing planned, so we'll just see where this kind of takes us. So let me know what you guys think. Do you like this kind of setup? How are we talking to you? How are we talking to the guests? Maybe you want to tell us where you want us to go next, what you want us to taste, as long as it's coffee. Matt just spoke to me a little bit about what it takes to start becoming a professional triathlete. keep wanting to call you a triathlete. Matt's been speaking to me now about what it takes to start making money as a professional trail runner. So it's so interesting because I mean it's not like a normal job that you're earning money so you can survive, you can pay your rent and all of that. There's a lot more that goes into it. So I'm excited for us to go and taste some amazing coffee now and chat about sponsorships and how you get into it and how they actually benefit you and help you as an athlete. So let's cruise. So we'll find somewhere we can go grab some coffee. So how's this work now? So you can see here, I don't know if you can see that, how many coffee shops there are in Cape Town. But let's see, we're going to go taste some of these, or we're going to go test some of these places, see what their coffee's like, get warm, get out of this cold. We're going to chat about sponsorship and what it entails being a professional athlete and see what these guys are like. You have the one from a cup? Do you have any that aren't from a cup?
And then we have soya.
Can I have a cappuccino with almond milk, please?
Just normal milk for me, yeah. Please, thank you. Yeah, normal cappuccino, sorted.
So we are here at Cafe Paradiso. We're going to enjoy some coffee. We're going to chat to Matt about some sponsorship, and we're going to even rate the coffee. We're going to see how good it is. So we're going to rate some coffee here at Cafe Paradiso. I want to hear from you guys if that's something that you want to hear about. Coffee's become such a big trend, especially here in Cape Town. There's some amazing little coffee shops that I'm sure you want to try out because you wouldn't have been able to go to all of them. So we're going to go with our future guests and try out a couple of other ones. So we're not just going to spend all our time at Alf's Cafe. So we're going to check how good is that caffeine, how good is the foam. Hey, the service is always important. I know it's always great to have a friendly waiter or waitress or barista to come serve that coffee. It always makes it taste so much better. So we're going to try out all these coffees and we'll give you guys the feedback.
Almond.
Which one's almond? This one's almond. Awesome. So speaking about rating this coffee now, I mean, it's interesting to hear what Matt had to say about not normally taking on caffeine. So when he's training, doesn't necessarily drink lots of caffeine. So then when he does on race day, he feels a bigger spike. So it has more of an effect on his body to help get you through those tough times. Climbing up those mountains, I'm sure every now and again you need that extra boost of caffeine.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a trick, a tip that I would pass on to a lot of people. Like, be aware of the caffeine intake you take.
Because caffeine also messes up your tummy though, hey? So don't you have to be careful on the race day?
Yeah, well that's the thing. That's why just monitoring how much you take per hour, and also you don't want to spike yourself too high because what goes up must come down.
So I know with like Ironman, I'll take electrolytes, and then almost right at the end of the run, I'll start drinking Coke for that extra boost.
Yeah.
And then once I drink Coke, I then can't go back to taking gels because that's going to mess up my tummy.
Okay. Yeah, well, again, it's specific to you. But what I do like to do with caffeine is kind of delay it as much as possible. Again, just making sure you get a bigger kick. I think taking it earlier on your body throughout the day will just become less and less responsive to the intake.
Okay, so design looks pretty good. You're going to add some sugar.
Add a little bit of
Let's see what this is like. It's nice and warm, that's for sure. It's always interesting because all the milk, so this is almond milk, but every single almond milk tastes completely different. If you want to, go and watch one of our episodes where we go and taste various different types of plant milks, and you'll be surprised at what actually ends up winning as the best milk alternative. So go back, Coffee with Craig season 1, and you can go and check what that's all about. So there will be a link in the description below, and enjoy that episode where we also bring back some of the guests from season 1 of Coffee with Craig. So if you missed that, go and check it out. There's a lot of foam, and that's pretty good for almond milk. I know with Andile, he often moans about oat milk. He can't get the foam out. So they've done a good job here. This barista's pretty good. He's experienced. He knows what he's doing. I stopped drinking normal milk when I became vegan years and years ago, and then I got accustomed to.
Vegan?
Not anymore. I was.
Oh, okay.
I did it for a year.
Yeah.
It was my 1 year anniversary on the Ironman, the race of Ironman.
Okay.
I finished the race, and that was the last time I was vegan. So I went straight to get a spur burger and a piece of pizza, ate it, and it felt so much better.
Sure. Okay.
So we're drinking some Deluxe coffee here at Cafe Paradiso, and it's pretty good. I mean, you can get Deluxe in various different coffee places. I'm enjoying this one. I'm going to go with a 7 out of 10 for this cappuccino with almond milk.
Me, as an amateur drinker, I'm probably going to go 8. Just, it's not as bitter as I thought it would be. I'm pretty stoked about it.
So I want to know, like, becoming a sponsored athlete. I mean, in something like trail running, that's quite a tough thing to do. How does someone go about becoming sponsored? I mean, I know a lot of in the hockey circles. There's a lot of kids that always want to get sponsored, and I think it's more so to tell their friends. I got sponsored by Princess. That how do you go about getting a sponsor of sorts?
Well, besides obviously being good at your sport, but besides that, I think what's really important is to build your brand. Understanding how the dynamics, your own personal brand, and just through that kind of showing your character, and I suppose also understanding what's maybe unique about you and your brand. So again, understanding social media and understanding Instagram is really important, and then just from there.
So do you think so nowadays Instagram's huge, it's all over the place. Do you think that's helped a lot with athletes getting sponsors? Because you can showcase the clothing that you're wearing, I guess.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a huge role, especially during COVID. Like, there weren't many events happening, so it actually came down to kind of what athletes were putting on Instagram and what they were actually getting up to in their own time.
And then what would you get from a sponsor like Essex? I mean, do they just go and buy whatever you want? Do they give you a new pair of shoes every season? How does that work?
Well, that comes down to your contract. So everyone's contract is going to be obviously different, and how they value. For me, I've always said that if a brand really values you, they're going to pay you a monthly income.
Oh, okay. So it's not just about getting free clothes. They also can pay you. Like
yeah, of course.
Okay.
For some people, the free stuff's cool, but for me, at the end of the day, this is my job, and that's kind of how I've seen it. So yeah, I mean, it comes down to getting your base retainer, and then on top of that, having a yearly kit budget. And then getting incentivized on particular races.
So if you do well in the race or you win the race, you can get a bonus of sorts.
Yeah. So again, that's purely based on your contract. So it will vary from.
So it's going to be different athlete to athletes.
Yeah, for sure. And then also obviously having a budget for traveling and doing those things.
Oh, that's amazing. So they actually pay for those kind of things.
Yeah, and your projects like for me, one of my projects I'd like to do next year when it's winter is head out in the snow, travel somewhere in the snow, and the crew will come along and film that. And
so you're not gonna just use David then. Maybe he can come along and you can taste coffee in Europe.
There you have it.
Okay, that's so interesting. I mean, I've never thought about that before. I just presume, cool, you put on a t-shirt or some running shoes and you go. And then as soon as you sponsored, all your friends and family also want some free kits. I'm sure that's the case. That's happened to you.
Yeah, definitely.
When can you get sponsored by BMW?
Oh, Land Rover is the question.
Land Rover.
Yeah,
okay,
that's where it's at.
So I mean, I see a lot of the rugby players drive around in Land Rovers or.
Yeah, I think they have a contract. Land Rover has a partnership with the Springboks, so that's how that comes together. Yeah.
But you run fast enough, so you don't need a car.
I put more mileage on my legs than my
your car.
My car, yeah.
Okay, right. So that's it, guys. That's Matt Healy. We've got to hear from him what's going on inside of his mindset, how he prepares for these amazing races that he does, and he's doing an incredible job. And I look forward to seeing what he can do in the future and make sure that one day he creates a race like Ryan Sands creates a 13 Peaks. We're going to find out one day that Matt Healy has his own race here in Cape Town. Is that the goal? Or is that just my goal for you?
I think that's just your goal, but it would be really epic.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. Matt, thanks for joining us on Coffee with Craig. I hope you guys enjoyed this, something a little bit different, a different way of going about it. So if you haven't yet and you're new to this channel, make sure to hit subscribe, make sure to like and share some love for Matt Healy. Go and check him out on Instagram so you can show Essex his sponsor and we can promote that as much as possible. Until next time, we will be finding the next place to go and enjoy some coffee, enriching lives one cappuccino at a time. Until then, we're out of here.